Hello everyone, it is I, Ryan, also known as thelovebat. And so I'm just going to get right into it here. This is going to be another Magic the Gathering Arena draft video that we're going to get going on here. Doing some more of the Baldur's Gate format with the Alchemy Horizons. This time I think I'm going to go ahead and do a best of 3. I'm going to kind of try and do the back and forth between the Premier Draft Best of 1 and the Traditional Draft Best of 3. There's also been some rotating draft formats in here now and again. If they had the, what was it, the Kamigawa one, I think a week or two ago that I kind of missed out on. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I do remember it being on here a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to do that because that was one of my more favorite formats, but unfortunately I missed it, so I kind of missed the window to join into the Kamigawa draft pool there and do all that. So we're going to do the good old best of 3 traditional draft for Baldur's Gate format. It's a good format. Not as fun as Kamigawa from my experience of doing a couple of unrecorded drafts for the Kamigawa set, which I think was not too long ago actually, but I love the sort of samurai warrior theme and some of the other different kinds of deck ideas, and there's lots of very open kind of colors in that set, and blue was actually somewhat viable in the Kamigawa set because there was the blue-black ninja deck. So anyway, since it's a best of 3 format, it might take a little bit to find some players here. So I'm going to go and pause the recording here, and then I will get back to everybody with the recording once all the players show up for this. So I will see you all then. Okay, we're back, and after what seemed like took like an eternity, it went over 20 minutes on the waiting timer, no exaggeration. We are finally back and ready to go ahead and get to the best of 3 drafts. God, that took like an eternity to wait for enough players to show up. Let's see what goodies await us in this draft after the Dragon draft last time. Didn't go as well as we'd hoped with no real early game in that particular deck, so hopefully this time will be better. Our rare is Wand of Orcus. This is a decent build around, but I'm not sure if you want to take this first pick because you have 3 mana play, 3 mana equip. Whenever equip your attacks and blocks, you gain Death Touch. So, I mean, you could get some decent synergy of like Shambling Ghast, Sepulchre Ghoul. But there aren't that many zombies in the format to choose from that. Minthara is quite good. More opponents controlling the battlefield. Alright, so this could make at least 4 mana 2/4, but you can build around it. If you have like a Blink deck going, it's probably worth first picking. Otherwise, you have like Shambling Ghast, a solid 1-drop, and most any black deck. Band Together is some decent removal. Basilisk, good early game blocker, and then the Valor Singer is good in an aggro type deck. Let's see. Well, now I kind of wish that maybe I'd taken something that goes well with any of these sort of cards up here. I mean, some people say this is just like a 2/2 reach for a striker, but white and green, they have ways to buff creatures. If you have a combat trick, this works amazingly well with it. If you have, like, say, the Dread the Norm combat trick to give this +1/+1 counters, then it works amazingly well at first strike. And there are some equipments. There's not that many in this set, but there are some equipments. And if you can attach one of them to this, you can still make it bigger. I mean, Memphis Enthusiasm is probably the best card here, followed by the Kobold Warcaller. And Steadfast Paladin's probably the safer pick because it's just plain white and it goes well in this deck. But I'm just going to go and keep myself open by just taking another rare here. That's still a pretty solid card if we end up in the colors. Well, it looks like we're getting past some legends here. Deadly Dispute's pretty good in a Minthara deck, because you can sacrifice a permanent like a treasure or just a small creature or something like that, and you can have it really get going. But it is a common, and if we end up like a Sepulchre Ghoul or any treasure generation whatsoever to maybe splash, Cadibri is just a solid 2 mana creature that can get bigger. If the Wand of Orcus wheels, and it could because it's a build around card, Then this gets somewhat better with Wand of Orchids because you can attach it to Cadibri, make it bigger with the +1/+1 counter, and it still has first strike. And it's a decent combat trick for creatures. I mean, Priest of Ancient Lore is good in a blank deck, but if we want to make something fun here, we can do the good old Minthara sort of maybe blink plan and get that going. Horn of Valhalla is really good here. If we end up with more Deadly Disputes or Sepulchre Ghouls, we get free 1/1 tokens to sacrifice. I guess I don't know if that counts as a permanent. I mean, I'm sure that tokens still count as a permanent because they're still creatures. So, yeah, whenever you have a permanent leave the battlefield, so even if something dies, I'm pretty sure that counts as leaving the battlefield. I mean, I could be wrong on that. But I think that whenever anything dies, this still counts. So we can sack a 1/1 token, or even just chump block with a token maybe, or attack in with a token and just have that trigger Minthara again. And it also goes really well with the Cadibri if we attach it, because it gets another +1/+1 there. So our deck's coming together okay. Well, Shambling Ghast works pretty well with this deck. Devoted Paladin would be pretty good too, because you can blink it in and out for the pumping the team effect. This is ideal in a deck where you have a Kobold Warcaller to give it haste, so that way with the Perpetual Haste you can get it in there on the turn that you bring it out and buff the team, because then it buffs itself at the same time and has haste. But Shambling Ghast is pretty good in this deck if we get sacrifice cards, and just in general the treasure token generation also helps, because a treasure token is still a permanent, so I think that it can still buff up Minthara pretty well. It's kind of like a 2 ways to buff it up if we sacrifice it. This is a more constructed card, not really a mythic rare you want to take in limited or the draft format. Prophetic Prism is probably the safest pick, and you can sacrifice it to like a Deadly Dispute if you don't need to fix for like a Cadibri anymore. Choose Your Weapon is a good sideboard card if we were to end up in green. Prophetic Prism's the safest bet. Vampire Spawn's a solid card. Prophetic Prism's probably the best card. We can still sacrifice it to like a Deadly Dispute or some other similar thing, like a Baba the Saga if we end up green-black somehow. Ghost Lantern, remember creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay, so this can go decently well again with the Cadibri and other equipment to attach to it, and we can get something back from the graveyard with this as well at instant speed, so we can do it at the end of our opponent's turn maybe. And then if we sacrifice creatures like a Shambling Ghast, we can pump up the creature that has this equipped, so not a bad equipment. Goggles of Night's the better card, but blue usually isn't strong enough for me to go with here, unless maybe you're in a dragon deck. This would be really awesome. Like it was really good in the dragon deck that I drafted before. It ended up working pretty well for card draw and just flying with dragon over the top. Flaming Fist Officer I think is a pick here. If we end up with like Deadly Disputes or blink in and out effects, then this is just going to get bigger each time that we do that. We can sacrifice a Shambling Ghast, and then we can maybe sacrifice maybe tokens that we generate here or that we lose to chump blocking, something like that. Hook Horror would be good in the same deck with Flaming Fist Officer to keep sacrificing it, and then you keep on pumping the Flaming Fist, so that's not bad. This ramps and splashes, but we don't really have anything to ramp into, and we have Prism for some fixing, and then maybe we can get some treasure token generation along the way. Maybe we just take the Chain Devil, and then maybe we can get some more Shambling Ghast type creatures, or maybe some Guildsworn Prowlers, or some sort of low mana sort of creatures that we'd enjoy sacrificing and getting secondary effects out of. This is a pretty good combat trick. It doesn't save a creature from sacrificing it, like to the Chain Devil or the Deadly Disputes and stuff like that, but it does protect from removal, and it's at least a good sideboard card. So we can maybe protect Minthara from removal, or something that gets really big. It has like the horn equipped. I guess I'm just going to take the Scale Singer for the vault because it's an uncommon. I don't think I'm going to play the Gray Slot no matter what. I guess Arcane Art. Arcane Archery is better in a vacuum, but maybe on the sideboard this is okay if we end up going into green somehow. I guess we got another one anyway, so we have a couple of sideboard cards for green if we want to go in there. Chaos Baldur. This is an awesome card, but it's double red, and it's kind of hard to splash double red or double color anything. Priest of Ancient Lore is great in the blinking type deck for into the battlefield effects. Guildsworn Prowler is great for sacrificing. Chain Devil works really good with this, and Shambling Ghast works very good with the Chain Devil. You can just sacrifice this when you get out the Chain Devil, and then you force them to sacrifice a creature, which gets around like Hexproof and Indestructible, and like any combat trick essentially cannot save them from Chain Devil. So Guildsworn Prowler probably works best for the deck that we're building, followed by Priest of Ancient Lore. This is the best card, easily, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to splash it, however. And this is just so good for our deck, so I'm just going to see if I can build this sort of black-white splashing, maybe some green cards here if I get anything good. Grim Wanderer seems pretty good for this deck. There's some other good picks in here. The Gate is pretty good in white to kind of seek some action in the later game. This is sort of fixing, depending on what you want to be able to get. You can get a Gate to fix. Young Blue Dragon is really good for the Dragon deck as a good common. This is a really good green card that goes very well with the either life gain synergies or just getting a nice big fat creature onto the board, which is very good. Also very good with Lurking Roper to untap that with the life gain aspect. Yeah, there's some middling cards in here. Chain Devil would be decent for our deck on the wheel if it wheels, but this is very good. We sacrifice a creature or have something die here for our deck, and then we can flash that out as a blocker or some other way. We have a couple of good dragon cards for the dragon deck, but we're not really in the dragon colors, and we aren't building a dragon deck, so someone's getting a good dragon deck here if they want to build that. We have Minimus Containment for some removal, but I think that Deadly Dispute is just too good for us here. We have Shambling Ghast, Guildsworn Prowler, token generation from Horn of Valhalla. We can sacrifice the treasure token that we get from Shambling Ghast later on in the game. And if we really want to, we can also sacrifice Prophetic Prism or an Equipments if we really need the card draw and like need a win condition of some kind or some removal like Chain Devil on some weird situation. So Deadly Dispute is just too good for our deck, so I'm going to take that. I mean, I don't mind another Ghost Lantern at minimum. It's another thing that we can sacrifice to Deadly Dispute, another equipment that we can put onto Catti to just keep pumping her up and make her stronger. And we do have ways to sacrifice creatures already with the Chain Devil and the Deadly Disputes. So this seems like actually a pretty good deck to just have a couple of these because it has a very cheap equip cost. So I think that's going to work out pretty well. We can find ways to splash for this, I think. We have Prism. We have some ways to get treasures. So we could do it. There's an Orb of Dragon Kind there as well for the dragon deck. So someone's getting a good dragon deck this time around. Trelisara, we don't really have much, if any, life gain in here, so I don't think that we want to go for Trelisara. Flaming Fist Officer is probably the pick. We don't really have any fat creatures yet to pick up with the Summon Undead, so that's not really something I think that we'd be going for. We just go with this, sacrifice creatures, and maybe if we get any blanking type cards, we can go ahead and combo that with the Officer as well. Other picks in here, this is sort of like a Mind Rot type effect, which isn't too bad, maybe on the sideboard, but I'm not going to take it over, just a good solid creature for us. I guess Spiked Pit, Belt of Giant Strength is good in the right deck for it, but it's just it's a high equip cost, so it's more of a constructed type card that maybe you can kind of ramp into being able to equip it. I'm just going to go ahead and take the Spiked Pit Trap as a sideboard card if we need more removal, and we can sacrifice it to the Deadly Dispute for just 1 mana, play it out, flash it out, and then we can Deadly Dispute it for card draw. I'll put it on the sideboard for now in case I need it. I guess Hook Horror is not bad here. We can sacrifice it. We can use it as a chump blocker, then sacrifice it to save ourselves damage. It's also just a decent chump blocker in general. We can also boost it up with Horn of Valhalla, trade it off of a big creature, and then we just get it back anyway. So, otherwise, Unexpected Windfall would be halfway decent in this deck if we were playing more like red-black. I mean, we don't have very many white cards, but the white cards that we have are really good, so don't really want to abandon whites. And there's not that many great red cards that are wheeling around here, so I guess I'll just take the uncommon for the vault. I'm not really playing anything in that pack. Craving. This is more for like a red aggro deck, maybe like red-white aggro. This would be pretty awesome, but we're not going to splash that, so we'll just take the playable sort of imp here. So we sacrifice something, or we play and use treasures. We can scry for card advantage. Guess another Chain Devil isn't too bad here. They're not ideal, but if we get some more like Shambling Gas type things, then it can be better. This is a halfway decent curve topper because you get Menace, so this is at least something you can put on the sideboard if I want to try and get in there. I guess I'll just take the uncommon for the vault here. Alright, so we got the Mind Rot effect. This is maybe at least a sideboard card for us. Alright, so this is an interesting black card. We got Specialize here. 2/2 Death Touch baseline is still pretty good to trade for a big creature. And it can drain the opponent. So what do the Specialized effects do here? Okay, and then whenever you lose life, you make a token that you can maybe sacrifice and do things with. Draw a card. Okay. And then you can deal damage back to them with that one. What does this one do? +1/+1 counter. And that gives you Death Touch and Lifelink and boosts it up. Okay. Alright, so the black Specialized seems good there. Soldiers of the Watch would be decent on the wheel with Double Team. Oh, this is pretty good. I mean, this is going to be great for the blinking aspect of it, but if this wheels, and it could wheel because it's a very specialized kind of card, and Priest of Ancient Lore is not going to wheel if I let it pass here. Whereas Lae'Zel's Acrobatics might wheel because it's not going to be going for every deck. So you exile everything and then you bring them all back to the battlefield. Maybe not what our deck wants, because we want to blink maybe one card and maybe not all of them. So I'll just take the solid card draw and life gain kind of card there and be happy about it. Another Minthara. If I'm lucky, this might wheel, and having 3 of them is kind of excessive. So it is a legendary and it's not a specialized card, so having 2 of them in your hand at the same time or drawing into one of them when you already have one out makes it kind of awkward compared to these specialized cards. And just an alarm on my phone going off there in the middle of the session here. Yeah, let's go ahead and go with the Hippogriff here. It's a good combat trick. And then it's just a solid flying creature. Scale Nurture, great for the Dragon deck. Armory or Cleric is a good into the battlefield effect for blinking. But I think the Hippogriff, even with the nerf to the adventure side, they made it 2 mana instead of just 1 white mana. It's still a really awesome creature, and it can help us fly over the top with any of our buffed up creatures with the equipments that we have. Alright, so Icewind Stalwart's great, but Asterion is right in our colors, and this is a very good card, so I think that this is just going to be a very good card. We don't really have any ways to drain them, but we could fly over the top with Blessed Hippogriff and deal damage to them, and then just deal more damage to them with this. So I think that all in all, it's still a 4/4 Death Touch Lifelink baseline that we're going to be able to play. You hear something on watch as maybe a good sideboard card. The best card here is definitely the Owlbear Shepherd, but I don't think that we have enough ways to splash it necessarily. I mean, we could splash it, but you know, we don't really have any big fat creatures to really activate this easily, so I think I'll just take the halfway decent sideboard card here. Unicorn, we don't have enough life gain. We have Priest of Ancient Lore, and that's about it for life gain, I think. And I guess we have Historian, but yeah, I think I'm just going to go with the Flaming Fist Officer and just rely on sacrifice type effects. And or I take that back. I did not see the Guildsworn Prowler there. I think that's going to be better than another Flaming Fist Officer, because this is a better enabler, and then the Flaming Fist Officer is like the payoff, so we want the more enablers with just good built-in value. This is more for the green-black mill deck. For this is decent blue removal. That's maybe a good sideboard card. I'm going to go ahead and take the Armor of Shadows for sideboard in case we need combat tricks to help us out. I'm trying to go and click this and move it down. There we go. Monk of the Open Hand, not really what we're looking for with this deck, even though we have lots of low curve type spells to play out here. I mean, I can take it. I mean, it's not really good for blinking. We already have 2 Chain Devils. I don't think I would play a third one, probably. Alright, Drider's decent here. We can fly over the top of with this using the Hippogriff at least to get some of the creature tokens there. So this is halfway decent for us, so... And it's a way to block against flying creatures, I guess. I think we'll just take Choose Your Weapon as an uncommon for the vault here that we have. Another uncommon for the vault. I guess maybe a Dawnbringer Cleric is a decent sideboard card if we have enchantments that we go up against that we want to kill. And then maybe if there's like that 5 mana legendary Tiefling rare, then maybe Mesa Disruption can be on the sideboard for that. These don't really matter, I guess. We'll just take the worst card of the 2. Alright, so we got an interesting deck. It's not my favorite deck. It's not necessarily my favorite archetype in this format. We could have ended up with maybe a decent like dragon deck. There's some dragon cards that were wheeling around everywhere, and blue seemed pretty open for that, but I think that we still got lots of very good playable cards here and some good cards. We have some decent synergies with the sacrifice type effects. We have Deadly Dispute, we have Chain Devils. We didn't get any Sepulchre Ghouls, so we can't reliably sacrifice without like a mana cost to it. So a Sepulchre Ghoul would have helped to complete this deck pretty well, because then we can sacrifice whenever we want without having to sink mana into it. I guess the question here is, do we want to still splash the Catti-brie with the equipments that we picked up? We have some very good equipment cards. How many ways can we splash for it? We have Treasure there. We have Treasure here. We have the Prophetic Prism. I don't think that we have any other ways to get it. We don't really have a Pilgrim's Eye to get the forest easily. If I came across a Pilgrim's Eye in a sort of pickable spot, then I would have taken one, but I don't think that we really got an opportunity for one that was presentable, so... It's basically a matter of, do I want to splash this or not? And if I don't want to, then I can easily cut it and I already have a deck. If we take this out, though, then what do we cut, I guess, is the question. Because my low mana cards here are not anything that I would want to cut based on what I have. I guess this is also a way to... Yeah, this doesn't really gain life, though, so I guess, yeah, the life gain with the Celestial Unicorn wouldn't have worked with this one either. This is more of a drain effect, if anything, with some secondary effects, so... But the drain effect from Shadowheart goes really well with Asterion because you kind of double the drainage that you get out of them if you have both of them on the field. So that's pretty good. We don't really have any trample, but if we can fly over the top of a Blessed Hippogriff and get something else flying, and then have Mithora buff them up, then that can be pretty strong. What do we want to cut? Catti-brie would be the safest cut here, but I do want to keep the Chain Devils because we can sacrifice some smaller creatures. These 3 creatures right here, very good sack fodder, so we make sack fodder with the Horn as well. Monk of the Open Hand isn't bad sack fodder either if we can't really pump it up effectively. I think we just cut the Nefarious Imp. It kind of makes our curve a bit wonky for 3 drops, but the 3 drops that we have are just more effective than the Imp. We have some treasure generation, but not much, and scrying isn't quite as good as just drawing cards or getting other types of effects, you know. And then Catti-brie is still a good enough solid creature to splash, I think. We can still easily get a treasure token early with the Shambling Ghast. Maybe we can sack it to a Deadly Dispute and get treasures to be able to play this on turn 2 or turn 3 maybe. And we don't really have to play this right away either. We can wait until we have equipment cards and then get it onto the battlefield as well. Person can also splash for it. So I think we have enough ways to splash it to where I'm okay with playing it. We have equipments to make it bigger. And they're pretty good equipments as well. They don't have a high sort of barrier to entry. This is a 1 equip cost that will give this a nice buff. And then Horn of Valhalla is just a very strong card in general. One of the stronger rares in the set. Alright, I think I'm satisfied with this. Let's go with a mana base here. I think we want to play probably more black than white. We do have the Prism that can add white mana if we need it. We have many more black cards that we would want to play on turn 1 and turn 2. So I think that maybe going 16 lands with more black than white is good here. And then if nothing else, we can play Prism turn 2 to get our white mana online. And then we have sack effects in black as well to get treasures if we get kind of screwed on white mana. Alright, well I think I'm pretty satisfied with this. I'll go ahead and get to the matches now, and I'll go ahead and run it like that, and we'll see you guys in the first round here. Alrighty then. Here we go. First match. Let's see what our opponent's up to with his good-looking mustache and suit on his avatar dude there. He probably has a name, and I just don't remember what it is because I'm not that familiar with all the sets to remember. So let's see. We have good payoffs for sacrifice fodder and things like that, but none of the enablers yet. But this is still a keep. We have both of the main colors, and if we draw 1 land, we can still curve out pretty well here. Potentially, depends on what we draw. So alright, at the very least we got another mana here, so let's go ahead and just play out the black mana and see what we get on our next draw here. Guildsworn Prowler for them. Interesting. Alright, so what do we want to do here? I think we just do this and we have to pass. We can't really kill a creature yet unless they Deadly Dispute or something like that. I think we just go with the Priest of Ancient Lore here and try and draw into something else. Give ourselves an extra draw step here, essentially. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'll go ahead and, well, I don't really want to trade here, because then I can't play my Grim Wanderer easily. So I'll just take one, otherwise I would have probably traded there if I felt the need. So do I want to trade the Priest with the Imp and then I can play out the Grim Wanderer, maybe as a surprise flash creature at the end of their turn, maybe after they attack? I could also Deadly Dispute and hope that I can draw into a land and then play the Grim Wanderer. I guess I can't really wait to cast that. I would have to cast it on my own turn. Okay, well, let's offer to trade then and see what they do. If they trade, then I can play out the Grim Wanderer after that. I already got the value from the Priest, so... and then I just think that we play the Flaming Fist Officer, and then we'll pass it on to them. They haven't played any bombs yet. Do we want to trade the Flaming Fist Officer or not? I mean, it's 1 damage. Let's not let them get the free card draw. We'll just let them get in for the 1 damage there. Alright, so we're going to have to play something here. The question is, what do we play? Yeah, I wish I had 1 more mana, because then I could do both Deadly Dispute and Grim Wanderer on the same turn. I mean, I could still do both on the same turn using the treasure token, I guess, but I kind of wanted to save that for Caddy Brain mana if I draw into that, or maybe going into Astarion on a quicker turn. I guess we're just going to have to maybe pass here and then... I don't know. I mean, there's an argument to just attack with both, and then you can Deadly Dispute in response to whatever they block, I guess, or if they block the Priest, I guess, so... Alright, so let's Deadly Dispute this. And we buff up the Flaming Fist Officer for the attack, at least. And then do damage. We draw the land that we need. Let's play this out without having to burn our treasure, and then next turn we can do Astarion. Alright, so I'll take care of the Grim Wanderer, but the Flaming Fist Officer at the very least gets bigger from that, so we kind of get value if they remove our creatures. There's a case to be made to just play out the other Flaming Fist Officer and then just punish them if they decide to do any removal. So I guess, did they give this flying, I guess, or some other, whatever attack of, okay. Well, I guess I had, this was already tapped, so I guess that's why it didn't give me an opportunity to block, so I'm just kind of dumb. Okay, so we could play Drider, and then we can try and, well, what do we really do if we do this? We can punish them for keeping attacking us and not leaving a blocker. And it can block the flying creatures as well, which is relevant here. And if they remove it, Flaming Fist Officer keeps getting bigger. Yeah, as much as I am surprised by it. Drider's the best play here because we can prevent them from just getting in there. So having reach will help us out, and then if they attack with everything next turn, we can get back in with the Drider and punish them for not blocking with anything. And if they remove the Drider with removal, then our Flaming Fist Officer just gets bigger, so I think we're in a decent spot. Not great, but decent. Hook Horror can block the Guildsworn Prowler pretty effectively and pump up the Flaming Fist Officer if they want to do that. I can also just play another Flaming Fist Officer and then pass and leave up the Hippogriff combat trick if they want to try anything. I'd probably want to play the Flaming Fist Officer pre-combat, and then if they kill one of my creatures, it at least gets bigger instead of playing it post-combat. Yeah, I think we go ahead and just do this. And then, do we want to attack in with both? They don't get the card draw from the Guildsworn Prowler if they block with it. I'm fine trading the Drider. If it dies, then my two Flaming Fist Officers just get bigger, so they lose out the card draw. My two dudes get bigger, so I'm very satisfied with this. And we still have the indestructible combat trick to keep one of them alive if they try and use removal here. They can fly over the top and drain us out a bit, but we could have lethal next turn if they're not careful and they attack with everything here. Okay. Alright, and that's going to go ahead and be the end of that. So they get the win with Historian here because we weren't able to block them, and then this... Oh, does that not deal more damage to us? Alright, it does at the end of the turn. Okay, so we lose and have to go to the sideboard here. Alright, so we would have gotten there if they didn't have the Historian in hand or some creature to get out, so that's interesting. So it's looking like they're black-white, sort of. They got some legendaries and more, again, similar to our deck. They have some removal there. And they have, I presume, Sacrifice or Blinking type synergies in that deck. Lulu's a pretty strong card along with Asterion. So where I wanted to see these specialized effects on that card, but it's not letting me. Alright then, let's go back to the sideboard. There isn't really much for us in this. Like, Spiked Pit Trap could be okay as removal to get rid of everything that we saw from them. I don't... Gets rid of the Baleful Beholder, the Astorian, the Lulu. And we can sack it to Deadly Dispute if we need it. If we need it for that. Here's something on Watch would kill a Lulu flying over the top as well. Yeah, I guess a Hook Horror is probably too slow here. We need some removal to deal with them. You hear something on Watch is more reactive, honestly, so I think a Spiked Pit Trap, the Spiked Pit Trap is at least good there. It can also generate a treasure if I'm lucky to maybe splash the Caddy Bree. And we need a bit more removal to deal with them. Spiked Pit Trap kills everything that they have, so I think it's worth it, even though it's expensive. And in a pinch, we can sacrifice it to the Deadly Dispute, like the Prophetic Prism as well. We can do that with, so I think that we just run it like this and hope that we can get rid of their big, nasty creatures here. I think we definitely want to play first in this deck. Let's see, this is awkward, but it's a keep. If we're lucky, we can draw into something on turn 2. And maybe we can play that. Horn of Valhalla creating tokens to sacrifice is still pretty decent though, so if we just keep on flooding into lands, then we can maybe just do turn 4 or something or other. Alright, so this is not bad. Yeah, I think that we wouldn't be playing anything else on turn 2 anyway, so we need the... Hopefully Deadly Dispute comes into play for us here, and we get some nice little value off of that. Let's just do this. Attack in. And we're not going to Deadly Dispute just yet, in case they, you know, have something out here. Okay, so now we're in an interesting spot. Do we want to make Treasure to go ahead and make the Horn of Valhalla better? I think that we do. Let's do this on our turn and save the mana for next turn. Make a Treasure. Make the Horn of Valhalla better. Alright, well now things are a bit more interesting. I can play Monk of the Open Hand, and then I could play the Chain Devil and get them to sacrifice the Lulu. It's probably what we have to do here. So I can do... I mean, we lose out on the value of pumping the Monk, but we have to go ahead and kill them with a non-token creature here, so let's do this. And then we play Chain Devil, we sacrifice Monk of the Open Hand, and they sacrifice Lulu. No, I could have just sacrificed the Chain Devil there and just kept on pumping up the Monk, but the stuff I have is too expensive, I think, to take advantage of the, you know, sort of 2 spells, 1 turn type things, so... Okay, so I could just attack in here and force them to trade and lose out on the card draw. And then I could play, like, a Minthara and then do Horn of Valhalla when I have more mana. I mean, I could play this pre-combat and then increase the intensity of it if they want to trade. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this pre-combat. And then we will attack in with the Chain Devil. They could use removal on the Minthara. But I'm okay with this. We increase the intensity. They lose out on the card draw from the Guildsworn Prowler. And then we could play out our own Guildsworn Prowler, but we want the Horn of Valhalla value here, I think. So we'll just hold up the treasure. And this will go ahead and give it more intensity with that. Alright, so it's still going to be alive for our next turn, and so we can... Yeah, I guess the intensity doesn't matter too much here. Do you want to keep it alive for next turn? We already used the Deadly Dispute, so I guess we don't really need it anymore. We can't really draw into anything that can take advantage of it, so... Let's just go and block with it and prevent the damage. And now I could do maybe Guildsworn Prowler, then Hippogriff Combat Trick on my own or on their turn when I block. And just keep the Horn of Valhalla sort of secret. And then we can still attack in or block again with the Guildsworn Prowler, I guess. Maybe make him think I'm okay with just trading here. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's good, not great, so I'll just go ahead and do this. Pull a hole. Hippogriff doesn't really do anything against an exile effect, so it kind of gets us a little bit here. But we have the Horn of Valhalla, we have the Hippogriff we can equip it with, so... Let's see. I think we have to probably just get around to playing the Hippogriff. We can do the tokens now and then do the Chain Devil next turn, but... Yeah, we can't sacrifice a token anyway to it, so we have to sacrifice an actual creature. And they are probably just going to sacrifice the imp if they sacrifice something, so... I think the Drider might be our best bet here. Chain Devil doesn't really... We don't really get rid of the creature that we need to get rid of if we play the Chain Devil now, so... Drider, I think, is just our best bet to trade with the Grim Wanderer, and then they can scry one with the Imp, I guess. I mean, I suppose we could... I suppose on our own turn we could attack with Drider, and if they can't play another creature, they might just trade with Imp, and then we can play out the Chain Devil and sacrifice the Chain Devil. Yeah, I think we keep the Drider alive and we'll try and get value out of it this next turn to create a token. Alright, well, that's really bad for us. I mean, we do have the Hippogriff combat trick to make it indestructible, but they're just going to chump block with one of their creatures, so... Prism draws us a card, but we don't really have a Deadly Dispute to sack it. Yeah, they can sacrifice the Emperor, the Hook Horror, and not feel all that bad about it, so this is a really rough spot for us. I mean, I guess we have to attack in and then hope they don't block, because we can't keep taking hits like this. I mean, they just chump block with Hook Horror and it still comes out, so... Yeah, I think we're in a really bad spot. Let's just go ahead and play out the Horn of Valhalla then, and play out as much value from this as we can get. And then we just have to pass. No, I don't want to attack. I don't want to trade off with their creatures that they have. Yeah, so blocking the Grim Wanderer last turn, yeah, we should have done that, obviously, but not much I can do about it now. Trade with that at this point. I could have chumped a little bit and then tried to make tokens, but if they have another creature here, then that really gets us really bad. So I think we have to just go Hippogriff for the win here, essentially. Chain Devil, unfortunately, cannot sacrifice our tokens, so Hook Horror makes just too good a sacrifice fodder for them, so I think we just have to do this, and then we have enough mana for equipping the Horn of Valhalla, I guess. This would be 4 to play it out, hard cast it, then we can get this out but not equip it yet, which sucks. Could play the Chain Devil and then... I don't know, that wouldn't really do us any good though. Chain Devil and Prison don't really do much for us here. We could draw into something different, I guess, but Caddy Bree wouldn't be bad here because it can block the imp, but yeah, maybe we have to do this and hope that we draw a Caddy Bree for the first strike reach creature. Okay, well that didn't work out so well. Then I guess we just hard cast the Hippogriff and we have to block with it to just prevent the imp from killing us here. Then next turn we can play and equip Horn of Valhalla and hope for the best. Alright, that's probably game over. Menace is going to be a bit much. And yeah, they're just going to like exile the Hook Horror and all these cheap things and then get back like the Lulu and everything, so I think we have to go with a token. Alright, so this is too little too late. They should have attacked with the imp there, or I guess I'm crazy. They shouldn't have attacked with it, but they could have tried attacking with the vampire spawn, I guess. And then attacking with the imp just to try and pump in damage, but so this can be a blocker. We have to double block the skeleton. With 7 mana, we can play this and equip the Horn of Valhalla. I mean, making a white knight creature token, not bad. The black one, Death Touch and Lifelink. Let's play this out then. And then we can, I guess, specialize this. I think we need to specialize black for the lifelink aspect. What? Why won't it let me do that? I guess the timer ran out and it wouldn't let me do it again, so we need to hold them off here, so let's specialize like I was wanting to do. Discard the black card there. And then we'll play out the horn, so that way we have mana left over for next turn. So I can buy myself a little bit of time with the Shadow Heart, because it has lifelink at the very least. If they don't have removal for it, we can maybe stabilize here, because they can't really attack into it. They can attack with a skeleton. I have to double block it with my tokens. Then maybe next turn I can equip the Horn of Valhalla to Shadow Heart and just have more life gain. See, I think we need to block the flyer and get rid of that. And we have to double block here, because otherwise I think we're dead. And then I think we block the... We don't want to block the vampire spawn, because then they get it back with Ultra Ball and they drain us for 2 again, I think. Maybe? Exotic creature control. Okay, well... Okay, so I guess we could block the vampire spawn then. We take more damage here, but the Hook Horde just comes back anyway. We can kind of clear their board here if they do this. And then they could have a pump effect, but we have life gain with the lifelink on that, so I think we just do this. Even if they have a combat trick for the Hook Horde, yeah, we still have the life gain here, so we're still okay-ish. I mean, with Horn of Valhalla, I mean, if we draw into something decent here, we could still maybe be okay, but... Alright, yeah, Ultra Ball is probably going to be too much for us to deal with here, so... Hook Horror is a bit of a problem, but I could go ahead and do this, and I can just attack with this, and then re-equip it to the Hippogriff. Equip this, I can block the Hook Horror, and we'll pass the turn. I could hold this. I forget. Do I have another specialized card that I might want to specialize? Already lost the Shadow Heart. I don't think that I have any other specialized cards to use this for, but if I happen to think that I have maybe a creature in hand, then maybe they'll play around it. Okay, well, that's not bad. Not great, but not bad. I guess I play this out so I have enough mana to play this. And then I can do the equip action with the horn, I suppose. Yep, I'll do this. Buff the Hippogriff, and then I could get in there. And it's not going to die to the... You hear something on watch, but then I can't re-equip the horn to a different creature on defense. I mean, I have to get damage in here, otherwise they're just going to win off of value and all that kind of stuff. So I think I have to attack here. Then, yeah, I only have, I guess, yeah, I only have 5 mana, so I couldn't equip this twice and use, like, the token to attack. And then I'll re-equip this to the officer, so that way they can block either of those creatures without dying. Alright, so we have the Hippogriff for the Pilgrim's Eye. That's not terrible. If we draw another creature here, then the Horn of Valhalla can make whatever we equip it with even bigger, so a creature would be ideal. Alright, so we're going to bring the Lulu back. And they can give something else flying, but there's the Catti-brie, which has reach. So I could attack in with both the Hippogriff and the Flaming Fist officer here. Or I could attack with solely the Flaming Fist officer, and they probably don't block it, and then I have an extra blocker at least. But I guess if I attack with only the Flaming Fist officer, it doesn't have flying, and then they can easily double block to kill it. So if I'm going to attack, I have to attack with both the Hippogriff and the officer, and then equip the Catti-brie to kind of save us here. Yeah, let's attack in with both. We have to pump in some extra damage here, so I could have played Catti-brie pre-combat to pump up the Flaming Fist officer even more, but I want them to not have that information yet. I want them to think that maybe I have a combat trick to get the free damage in here. And then I play this, re-equip to my Reach for Striker, and end the turn. So yeah, there's been some other drafters that have kind of dogged on Catti-brie a bit, but a Reach for Striker, if you have any equipments in your deck, there's lots of flying creatures in this format, and Reach and First Strike stops them dead in their tracks. So they're very good, at the very least, as a sideboard option if you're in those colors, because stopping a flying creature or a flying dragon or whatever is in the set, you know, you can deal with a lot of things with Catti-brie. So I think it's good, personally. And in Constructed, you can probably make it pretty big, too, with an equipment-based deck, splashing it, maybe. It's not a warrior, which would be ideal for it to be like in a warrior type deck with lots of equipments, but... And then, whenever you attack with one of our flying creatures of flying. Alright, so we're going to lose 2 life from this. I think. Which might kill us, I guess. Because we can only block 1 creature. Or we can block the Ogma and the Hookhor and just let the Lulu damage us too, and then we can be down to 1, and then we win on the backswing. Yeah, I think we have to do this. We have to kill this, jump here, let the Lulu hit us, and then they deal 2 damage, and then they deal 2 extra damage, I guess, if they... or 1 extra damage. So, yeah, we can go ahead and just do this and leave the Lulu alone. And then I think that we win on the backswing here. I think. They don't have any cards. They can bring back something with Ultra Ball, but we still have them dead on board here. So, I mean, is there anything they can get back? Vampire Spawn, I guess, can save them. Yeah, I think that was the wrong choice, my friend. Vampire Spawn would have saved them. Because it would have given them enough life to survive here. Yeah, they would have needed the Vampire Spawn to save them, I think, because they would have gotten 2 extra life out of that. And brought me down to 1. Not that the 1 matters, but... Yeah, I think we just win here. Don't think we need to sandbag the land. Let's just get in here for 5 and win the match. They don't... There's nothing... They have no cards in hand. There's nothing they can do here. So... And then I guess we'll target that with a flying, I guess, for shits and giggles. Yep, so we win this game. We're going to go to game 3 here. And this is not going to matter because they're going to die anyway, so... Yeah, we got by there by the skin of our teeth and the value that we were able to get out of there right at the end. So... Ultra Ball is an artifact. Do we have a way to deal with artifacts here? We can make them discard of Demogorgon's Clutches because they have some cards that they might want to sandbag. This deals with only enchantments, and this is an artifact. And so is this, so... that's not an enchantment to have them sacrifice. They don't really have any enchantment cards to deal with as far as the Baleful Beholder, so the menace aspect is nice to get past all of their blockers and this maybe go for the win for a big attack with the Horn of Valhalla maybe, but that's not good enough, I think. This is good for going wide with the Horn of Valhalla and buffing up a bunch of tokens, but I'm not sure if that's good enough either. Maybe we swap out Monk of the Open Hand. It's good sack fodder, but I think that they have enough strong cards here. The milling 2 cards doesn't really hurt them that much because they have the Ultra Ball, but having them discard 2 cards is very relevant because they have some very big cards that we'd want them to discard and get rid of. Like, if we can get them to discard... If they have, like, 2 or 3 cards in hand, then they have to discard some really good cards, then we're going to be in a pretty good spot. I mean, they might sandbag lands for the specialized value for Lulu, but if we can get them to discard like a Grim Wanderer that they're waiting to play out, anything. I mean, it's going to be hard to get them to discard the Ultra Ball because they can do the adventure side to get it out of their hand, but I don't know. Maybe that's not good enough. Maybe we just go with... This doesn't really help against the... It doesn't help... well, I guess we just do what we did before. It doesn't help against the portable hole, so I guess it's probably not good enough here for what they have. We just have to kind of run it back with what we did the last match and try and outvalue them. And I'm betting that they're going to go first here, as is common. Yeah, this is an obvious mulligan. No lands is basically unkeepable in any deck, no matter what. Alright, well I guess this is a keep. I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, but I think we just have to drop a land and hope we draw some white mana at some point. Do I want to sandbag the Ghost Lantern or not? I mean, I could get back the Chain Devil with it. I guess we'll see. Chain Devil's looking decent here because we can at least get a 1-for-1 just flat out removal spell, I guess. I don't think that we do a lot of digging in this deck, so Archivist not really going to do a whole lot. So they're getting good value and curving out here much better than we are. I think I'll do this, play out this. The next turn we probably Chain Devil just to get rid of one of their creatures, I guess. Okay, so do I want to do this now, is the question. Guess we kind of have to. I think that we want to just, I guess we'll just block here. And then I will Deadly Dispute it, get value. Let's just go ahead and kill that. Take care of it now. And we can get back the Shambling Ghast with the Ghost Lantern, I guess. Alright, so now things are looking a bit better, but they have a much better board presence than we do, so it's going to be tough. But let's go and do this first, and then we'll do the Ghost Lantern. Do the Adventure side and get the Ghast back here. It's going to be good with the Chain Devil, so see no reason not to. And then, because I want to get the 2 spells 1 turn value next turn, I'm going to go ahead and sandbag the Shambling Ghast here. Maybe I can just go and play this out to get it out onto the board. Save the mana. And then Shambling Ghast I can do next turn. Okay. So they used removal on that. That's fine. They're getting in for lots of damage here, but I think that we're still in a decent spot. I'm gonna do this for the treasure. Let's just... we can do Flaming Fist Officer first. And maybe we want to equip it under the Flaming Fist Officer, and then we can do Shambling Ghast value at the very least. I wanted to get Chain Devil value out of it, but, you know, if we can just pump up the Flaming Fist Officer, that's fine too. Exile the equipment, that's fine, I guess. Okay, so we have the Spiked Pit Trap. We already used our Deadly Dispute, but it is what it is. It's still 6 mana removal, and we have the mana to cover it now. Guess technically it's 5 mana. We could play it at the end of their turn and then remove, like, the... I guess the Guardian Naga is too tough to be able to kill it with a Spiked Pit Trap, but Lulu would die to it, and some of the other, like Astarion or Astarion would die to it. If we do Chain Devil now, then we can attack once it's combat with the Flaming Fist Officer, so let's do this now. And we pump it up, it can attack in now. I think we just make a treasure since they're not going to block with the Vampire Spawn anyway, so... attack in. If they have you hear something unwatched, then we can use the Hippogriff to save it. And end the turn. Okay. I think they're not going to do anything this turn. Do I want to reveal the spiked pit trap? I mean, maybe. It's still probably worth having out there, and it does make treasure if I use it. Let's just go and put it out now and get as much mana spent as we can. Another Chain Devil's not bad. The fact that they have Hook Horror is not great, obviously, but... let's see here. We could Drider pass, but then they just attack in with the Hook Horror anyway. We could attack in with the Chain Devil and then bring out the other Chain Devil, I guess. We could also double attack here. Just try and get in there and force their hand a bit. We have the Spiked Pit Trap either way. And then we can do Hippogriff, I guess, to save the officer. It gets pumped up here. So their Hook Horror returns, but we can still play out something if we want to. Hippogriff would be not bad here. Let's just go ahead and get this out. And then we can fly over the top and not worry about the Hook Horror. Can maybe kill them before they can get out their really awesome cards. Land isn't too bad here. It allows more plays for us. Drider would be really good too with the Hippogriff. We can fly over the top of it and then get treasures. Does this have reach? It has vigilance. Okay. Yeah, if we play Chain Devil, they sack one of their creatures and they get value off of it, so we're gonna wait. Let's just go ahead and attack over the top here. Get in the damage. I could have played the Chain Devil pre-combat to buff up the Flaming Fist Officer, but I think I'm going to play the Drider here instead. And then next turn I can fly over the top with the Drider and get some tokens out of it. Well, damn, I'm running out of time on my clock here, so I really have to rush my turns a lot here so I don't lose. God damn it. I wasn't paying attention to the timer there. Well, such is life of best of 3. Maybe I'll just abandon the best of 3 entirely in my future drafts, because that's kind of a really sour way to lose there. I kind of hate the timer there. I think they should be more liberal with it and just give you more time, but oh well. I will admit it's very hard to pay attention to the timer and focus on playing the game at the same time. It's hard to like, if it gave you some visual indication on screen of how much time you have left, like right here would flash like how much time you have left on your timer, then would probably be better in my opinion. You know, that's just my opinion. I think that timers and matches are kind of bullshit when you're making like tough decisions of what you want to do, but it is what it is, you know. I mean, they might have still won anyway, but it would have been nice to see the match actually play out. You don't have to deal with a timer if you're doing best of 1, so for that reason, I might just prefer best of 1 for that reason alone, so definitely want to play first with this deck, and this is a pretty decent keep. We have Monk of the Open Hand turn 1, into turn 2 Prowler, maybe. We could also sandbag any of these cards to get the 2 spells 1 turn value as well. Yeah, I think I'll sandbag the monk for now. And then try and get the pump effect on it, because I played out turn 1. It may not even do anything, especially if they have like a creature or anything like that to block with, so... And then, what do I want to do here? Let's just do another black mana and pass. Doubt they're going to attack with the Warcaller. They could give a 2-drop haste, and it's still kind of bad for us, but we're not going to block it anyway with any of our creatures, so just going to have to grin and bear with it. Yeah, I wouldn't be blocking with the Prowler here just because I want to get the card draw value on it. Deadly Dispute would be an awesome draw because then I could cast the Caddy Bree eventually, so hopefully we draw that or a Shambling Ghast pretty soon. So now what I can do is I can do... I think I'll do this and then the Prowler. I don't know why they're taking time to look at it, but they might have full control initiated to stop it whenever it's their priority or whatever, so... Gonna give another creature haste. We're probably not gonna be able to block any of them unless it's a maybe a 4-power creature or something like that. So they're not gonna attack with Jaheira. They probably don't want to lose that before they can get value off of it. So what does this do? They specialize. They destroy an artifact or an enchantment. So I don't want to play out the Ghost Lantern just yet. For that reason. Let's play out another black mana, and then I could Chain Devil here before combat and force them to sack something. Yeah, they probably chump block anyway if I attack with the Prowler, so let's just do this. They probably just block with the Reckless Barbarian and all that. They could sack the Warcaller if they don't have any big fat creatures to give haste, but I think we just do this. We don't get the Lantern value, but Jaheira would blow it up anyway if we had it onto the field, so... No attacks, and then if we draw a green mana, or maybe a Prophetic Prism, then we can play 2 spells 1 turn next turn. Prism can fix for the green mana for this, and it counts as a spell, so Prism plus Caddy Bree equals 2 spells. Doubt they attack with the Jaheira. They probably attack with the Barbarian because we don't want to trade any of our cards for the 2/2. We can definitely attack next turn with Chain Devil, and maybe they'll chump block with the trade with the Barbarian. Depends what kind of land that we draw, or what mana source that we draw here. What do they get with this one? Discarded a Mountain. And they get a boon with the next spell, gets +1/+0 in haste. Okay. So now they have a 2/2 Death Toucher that they might attack in with. I think that technically, I think they can specialize this again into green. If I'm not mistaken, I think that technically you can specialize more than one time with the same card, so they could still blow up the Ghost Lantern, but do I want to trade? I mean, I get to attack with Chain Devil next turn, so I think I'll just do that instead and just replace them here as best I can. Another Ghost Lantern. Okay, well that activates the 2-spell 1 turn pretty nicely. Maybe I can just do this with the Prowler at the very least. First, and we get the value here first. Get the Prowler back, we have some more gas, and then we can equip this onto the Monk of the Open Hand and then attack with Chain Devil, I guess. If they can specialize again, then they can blow up the lantern, but I don't know why they're holding priority because they don't have any mana. So let's attack in here. If they block and trade with Jaheira, then that's great. Monk of the Open Hand gets bigger, but if not, we deal 4 damage. Alright, so I guess they're going to go ahead and do the combat trick to trade, or they're going to tank the devil there, but Monk of the Open Hand still gets bigger, which is nice. I guess technically they had mana open up with the Reckless Barbarian, but I didn't know if there's any 2-mana spells that they'd be able to play that were instant speed, so that's kind of why I was wondering. Maybe a Dragon's Fire, but if they wanted the Dragon's Fire, they wouldn't need to wait until combat for that. So if they had Dragon's Fire, they probably kill Monk of the Open Hand instead. So okay, so that'll attack in. We'll just have to take it here. Okay, so we have a Chain Devil. Flaming Fist Officer would get bigger if the Prowler dies. So would the Monk. Let's see if we play. If we could play the Officer and the Chain Devil at the same turn, that would be ideal. But we don't have enough mana for that right now. We have only 5, and we need 7. I'm just going to go ahead and play this out, and then play out the Guildsworn Prowler here. Getting the Chain Devil back right now doesn't really mean anything with another one in our hand already, so let's just do this. Attack in. Get some damage in, and then we have the Prowler that can eat one of their attackers here. If we get the green mana for Caddy Bree, we're in good shape, because then we can block the Basilisk without dying to it. Alright, so we are dead on board because we cannot block from this thing. So to the sideboard we go. This has not been a very good showing for us so far. Not been very good at all. So Dios83, how do we deal with you? And your deck, I meant. You know, nothing personal. I'm just talking about your deck. I'm not talking about you or anything like that. So, anyway, they have a War Color, Haste, red-green aggro beaters. It seems like with some low-end value cards, they can block very well with this. They get value out of the Jaheira. They can blow up our. They can blow up our Ghost Lanterns and our Horn of Valhalla, which is bad, but the adventure side of these are still good enough to where I still want to play them and then hope that they specialize. Spiked Pit Trap is bad against Jaheira because they can blow it up when they specialize with it. Let's see here. Is this going to be any good? I mean, they are aggro. If they attack with Jaheira, we can kill it. As well as many of the other cards I imagine that they might have, but Grim Wanderer is still pretty good here. We can still trade or sack creatures to get it out there. Maybe the Chain Devils aren't very good. I mean, it's not. The Chain Devils were actually worse against the previous matchup that had like hook horrors and different things like that, but I don't know, maybe our own hook horror isn't good enough here. It's too slow. Maybe I just want to play this, that way they can attack in and bad things happen. They don't really have any white removal. They do have combat tricks, however, so maybe our own combat trick would be good here. And then one less Chain Devil, so we kind of lower our curve a bit. Combat trick to match their combat trick, except ours would give it indestructible, so definitely want to play first. This is a decent hand. It's a bit on the slow side, but I'm not going to drop it because I have some of my better cards in here, so it would be kind of hard to give this up. I could just Ghost Lantern turn 1 and then make sure that I have it out since I can't bring anything back from the graveyard right now, so yeah, so we are one game away from starting 0-2, which is definitely not good. I mean, it's not exactly the best deck, and it's not necessarily my favorite sort of archetype to try and go into. We didn't really get the blink action working. We got more black-white sacrifice type synergies going on, so it is true that, you know, the first match against our, first opponent, we lost the game 3 just because of time and not because we just flat out lost, so hard to really call it like we lost that one, even though they very well could have won that final game, but it was still a toss-up, I think, in that game 3, in that previous match. I mean, it was a toss-up who might have won. We had things out in the field, they did too, and I'm just kind of sad that we didn't get to see that match play out because it was kind of tight, so it was a tight race, so alright, so we have our green mana for Kedibri. Yeah, we could play out Horn of Valhalla, but then we lose a lot of the value for it, so let's just pass the turn here. Well, we drew another creature. Unfortunately, it's not the lower curve kind, so we just have to keep passing. Making one token of Horn of Valhalla is pretty bad, so don't really want to go ahead and do Horn of Valhalla just making one token, so thankfully our opponent's start has also been pretty slow for the most part, so we have been kind of lucking out here because they don't really have much out in the field yet. This would survive a Dragon's Fire. It would not survive the Mephit's, whatever it is, the 4 mana, or not, the 2 mana 4 damage sorcery speed removal. We can do this first, then we can do Chain Devil next turn to give it more intensity. I think that's what I want to do. Could do Drider next turn as well, but Chain Devil gets the immediate intensity value, so if they have removal for it, so be it, but if it's Dragon's Fire, then they have to have a dragon to reveal to be able to kill it with that, so. And if they attack in here with open mana, then I have to assume that they have a removal spell or what other combat tricks, that +3/+1. If they have a combat trick, though, it might be better to play it out pre-combat, and then they give it first strike with the Hobgoblin Captain and Pack Tactics. So if they're looking to deal damage, they do it pre-combat. Okay, well, I guess that's fine, too. So Chain Devil next turn has 2 halfway decent targets. We're not going to block here. We don't want to lose our Anthara, obviously. Man, we are 1 mana, well, we're 1 black mana off of the Guildsworn Prowler Chain Devil combo, but We can chain, we can't equip, can we? Oh, it's, one colorless equip, okay. So let's equip first, and then we'll do the Chain Devil. And then we can pump up the Minthara here. Sacrifice the Chain Devil, and then we get the Minthara bigger. So yeah, both Bard and Captain, good targets to hit with that, so I'm okay with that. And I think we just want to race them here because they have the combat tricks. They can still kill the Minthara with one of their combat tricks. So I think that just attacking here is better. And then we can get out the Drider next turn, or maybe we can Horn of Valhalla if we draw another land to get some cheap blockers out there for the Captain. Okay, so they're going to deal 6 damage here, and they can even combat trick in for 9 damage, should they wish. So if they're going to try and kill us fast, yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to try and kill us fast and combat trick in. Then they're going to be cooking with heat. The Prowler does kind of save us next turn if you want to play that out and block with it on the Ambergris maybe. Priest is good too for the life gain. It gets us right out of the lethal range. But the Minthara would get so powerful if we chump block with the token creatures here that we might just want to do this first. Get value off of this. We make blockers to buy us some time. And they are 2/1s. They can trade with the Ambergris. So if a token dies, Minthara gets buffed from the Ghost Lantern. If they have Jaheira in here, we're probably dead. The Jaheira blowing up the Ghost Lantern would kind of end our chances here. Red removal may not be able to kill the Minthara because it's a bit too big for that. Double blocking the Hobgoblin Captain, not really a prospect because it gets first strike with the pack tactics, so you have to chump it. Ambergris, on the other hand, it would seem like we can still double block Ambergris with the tokens here. And then when they die, Minthara gets bigger, so they can attack in and discard their hand and then draw some cards and deal damage to us, so they would deal only 2 damage though if they do that, so we are still technically alive. Never mind, I guess we're not. I mean, I know what happened. They specialized the Ambergris, which discarded 1 card, and then they discarded 2 cards that were still left in their hand to finish me off with the other damage. Okay. That makes sense. We were dead on board no matter what, so them's the breaks, I guess. Them's the breaks. We were dead no matter what we did. We let them get in too much aggro damage, and we tried to race them, and we played around the combat tricks, but they just got too much damage in there, and Ambergris finished us off, so yep, pretty bad start for our deck. Maybe we can salvage maybe 1 win here in the tail end and finish strong, but still feels pretty bad to get only 250 gems in 1 pack from this deck, so best of 3 is a lot more difficult to get the good rewards. It's hard to lose matches with this deck and get the rewards out of it, so thankfully, we still have a high enough gold count up there to where once we get 10,000 gold, we can enter into another draft at some point. But, man, this deck has really been not hitting the way that I want it to. So, kind of played a semi-mirror match in the first sort of match and a first opponent. They were in sort of black-white colors with Blink archetype, I think, with some strong rares, like Lulu and Asterion. Then this one was just red-green aggro creatures with combat tricks to get in extra damage and trade off. I mean, had we been able to stabilize in that last game, then maybe we might have been okay, but maybe leaving back a blocker for the Ambergris maybe was more necessary. I was kind of more concerned about trying to get in damage myself and save my creatures, or save my big one anyway. Yeah, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here, and then I will be back when we find our final opponent. Never mind. Once again, the pause is interrupted because the game, it hears me. I'm calling out to it here, and it's just kind of hearing my voice. So, my lovely, lovely voice that can't get us any white mana in our opening hand. So, this is a very awkward hand. We do have Shadowheart, and then we can maybe discard one of the white cards to get the white effect, but I mean, with Shadowheart, I think that we still keep this, but because we can discard one of these two cards to specialize if we don't get white mana. This needs double white for the adventure side, so risky, but I keep. Now it's very risky. Lots of white cards with no white mana, so that's the way it goes. More white cards with no white mana, so we want to play this, and then we probably need to specialize the white side. Okay, so 1 damage to each player. And then we make a 2/2 token at the very least to get some creatures out there. This is obviously not going to be great if they can... they can't... Well, they can equip it with the treasure mana, but they attack and they get another treasure to replace it anyway, and they have the equip cost paid, so makes sense. Now we get our white mana, so now our plan changes a little bit. Do we still want to specialize? That is the question. Horn of Valhalla is really strong if I can play it and just get out tokens. I mean, even if we don't play out the adventure side, getting the tokens of Shadowheart from the white side of the card is still very strong. So we can specialize when they have 13 or less life, so... let's just play the Flaming Fist Officer, I guess, and we do it pre-combat. Doesn't really matter, I guess, but... And then we'll attack in there. We can still... We can't really block the Horde Robber, so it doesn't really matter, so... Once we get them down to 13 life, then we can specialize Shadowheart. Maybe we can Chain Devil on a future turn. They might try and ramp into a 5-drop or a 6-drop or something. I mean, the Chain Devil, I mean, they probably sacrifice the Horde Robber here. Okay, so we don't really get the specialized value, but we do get the value off of the pump effect there, so punish the removal. So I could play Chain Devil and force them to get rid of the Horde Robber. Let's attack in first and see if they use mana for like removal or anything. Right, they don't. Let's get rid of the Horde Robber now so they at least can't attack it next turn. And then we bump up the Flaming Fist Officer. So yeah, they can make something else unblockable, but at least they don't have haste, so they can't attack turn 1, I'm betting, unless it's like red-black. Red-black does usually make use of lots of treasure tokens, so Baba the Saga. Okay. This is going to be interesting because this is a very strong card. They can sacrifice treasure tokens for the artifact part of it. They can sacrifice the thieves' tools. They can sacrifice artifact creatures to fulfill 2 of the card types. So that's going to be interesting here. Yeah, if they have a Pilgrim's Eye in their deck or in their hand, then we're kind of in trouble here, because then this is going to get insane value. We're not far off from the Asterion. Let's just attack in here and see if they block. They don't. And then maybe we'll just play this, draw a card, and then we can at least have our double white mana out for our next turn for the horn. I was hoping that I could either draw into a spell of some kind, or like a non-creature spell, or maybe a land. If I can get another white mana, that would be great, but since we have the Prism, we already have our double whites for what we need. Alright, Hook Horror is going to be a problem because they can easily sack it with the Baba Saga, and then things get all bent out of shape here, so yeah. Alright, so Caddy Bree's not bad. If we can pump it up with the Horn of Valhalla, then we can prevent them from easily attacking, but on the other hand, they can drain us with the Baba the Saga, so they can keep on sacking the Hook Horror to it. Minthara would be interesting, but it would only be good if we draw like a Deadly Dispute and sack the Prophetic Prism after we play the Horn of Valhalla or something, so maybe we just attack here and keep up the Hippogriff combat trick so that we can try and get down their life total a little bit. We'll get more life of the Baba the Saga, but we have to get in there for some hits at some point. Then maybe we play the Caddy Bree pass, maybe? And then we can go ahead and use the Hippogriff to, I don't know. Hippogriff can maybe save someone from removal if they have removal in hand. Yeah, they'll definitely sacrifice a Baba the Saga now. At the very least, the Hook Horror can't attack into us anymore now because of the Caddy Bree. So because the Hook Horror is 2/2 now, Caddy Bree can block it. They're probably going to rely on the Baba the Saga getting them there and just sacrificing stuff and buying time, so Hippogriff is going to be good here because if they use the Spiked Pit Trap to kill any of our creatures, then we can protect them. They'll likely just sacrifice these Spiked Pit Traps to the Baba the Saga here. Varian would be a pretty good play too, post-combat. Yeah, let's just attack with the Flaming Fist Officer again and see if they block this. They want to keep the Baba the Saga alive because that's their win condition, and if they block with the Hook Horror here, then okay, so they're going to block. I will take that. They don't really have the... They can sacrifice the Baba the Saga itself, but If they have removal here, like cast down would get us with the Flaming Fist Officer dying before the combat trick here. Spiked Pit Trap, they don't have enough mana for that, so they have to sack Baba the Saga here probably and get value off of it. They're probably deciding what they want to sacrifice. I would say Baba the Saga, Spiked Pit Trap, Swamp, maybe. Yeah, that's what I would have done. Then they can at least chump block with Hook Horror a couple more times. So now I think we just play out the Minthara, and the next turn we do Asterion after combat is over. Post-combat Asterion can kind of like double your damage output, so probably when you want to play it, because then they don't know that they're going to get doubled on basically, so... plus one counter, and then if they have 4 more creatures in the graveyards, they have 1. They only have 2 creatures in the graveyard, so we're doing okay there. I think I attack in here. They could potentially, I guess, kill the Minthara. But Caddy Bree is first striker, so they can't really effectively deal with that. They could kill Flaming Fist Officer, but... maybe I can just get in with the Caddy Bree and kill stuff, I guess. Or maybe I can just Horn of Valhalla pass. I think that we just attack in here with everything. We gotta get the Asterion value. They have to essentially double block any of our creatures to kill one of them with the Shambling Ghast. And if they double block, then Asterion kills them here. Okay. Well, let's head on to the combat damage here, and then kind of clear out their board a little bit. They get some extra mana to work with the treasure token, but it's alright. Then I think we just do we can do Horn of Valhalla, and then we can do Asterion maybe next turn. So we just make a bunch of blockers here. There is, from what I understand, there is a 7 mana double black board sweeper in this set that I wasn't really aware of. That's like a mythic rare. Very unlikely that they have that in their deck. It's possible, but since it's a mythic rare, it would be very difficult to get it. So we have 7 mana, so we can do X5 here. And also if they have like a discard effect, we can save these 2 things at the very least and then play them out later. If we have to discard the Asterion, we're still in okay shape here from like a Mind Spike or the Demogorgon's Clutches, the sort of discard effects that they have or could have. I guess Mind Spike wouldn't actually cause me to discard the Asterion because it's like a non-creature, non-land card, but would give them hand information at the very least, so I guess the Demogorgon's Clutches could have discarded this. So the green mana, not really what we need anymore, but extra mana is welcome when we have so many things that we can play. I think we just do this, no reason to sandbag it. And then with 8 mana, we could equip Horn of Valhalla this turn. That would be 5 mana total, and then we can't play the Hippogriff or anything, but Asterion would actually be maybe the best bet here. We just attack in now. Post-combat Asterion. Yeah, I think that's what we do here. I think we just attack with everything here, and then we finish them off with Asterion. If they have like a removal spell here, I think we still kill them with the Asterion. If they kill the Flaming Fist Officer, chump of Hook Horror somewhere. Yep, they're gonna die, I believe, so... I don't know if there's anything here that can save them. They have only 6 mana. Yep, that's not gonna save them. Yep, you played yourself there, opponent. I guess they're technically... I guess they're technically part of the Magic the Gathering staff, I would assume, if it's Project Magic the Gathering. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, they're probably, I don't know if they have like their own YouTube channel or maybe they're a Twitch streamer of some kind, so... So yeah, they kind of played... I mean, they were dead on board anyway. They didn't know that we had the Asterion, though, so they don't know that we have it yet. Which is good. So they don't know that we have the Asterion yet. They know that we have 1 Minthara. They know that we probably are playing sacrifice type things with the cards that we showed. Because we have the Flaming Fist Officer. We're in black-white. We have like Shadowheart, Chain Devil, and different things. So they probably think we're in black-white sort of sacrifice type colors here. What to do? Sideboard. Is there anything that can help us here? More Hook Horrors are the bane of my existence. The Destructible doesn't help against this because the minus effects will get around Indestructible. So Armor of Shadows not looking too great here. Shambling Ghast, same deal. Armor of Shadows is good against Grim Bounty and Spiked Pit Trap, but Baba the Saga, we need to get rid of that. So I think that we do want the Spiked Pit Trap. We need removal for the Baba the Saga. You hear something on Watch, not exactly looking good here because the Baba the Saga isn't going to be attacking into us. I guess Sigil Merkle is an enchantment to target with the Baleful Beholder. And Menace isn't too bad against like the Hook Horrors and things like that that might want to chump block. So maybe we bring in the Baleful Beholder, we take out the Hook Horror, and we take out... I guess a Chain Devil doesn't work too great against their deck, so we'll just go with this. So yeah, I guess they were hoping that the removal spell would help them there, but then they activated our Minthara from that, and they killed themselves anyway, so... Yeah, maybe there wasn't really a card there that could save them. Asterion would have killed them anyway, but had I not had Asterion, they sort of died with a combat trick usage, so... Or a removal spell. Maybe a board sweeper, like Dragon's Breath, if they were red-black, would have helped them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this. We can do turn 1 Pit Trap if we really want to, and then if we draw a Deadly Dispute, we can just sack it if we want to. They're not in green for like the Jaheira enchantment removal, and we didn't see a way for them to deal with artifacts, so Spiked Pit Trap turn 1 is probably okay, and then we can maybe draw 1 land here and go ahead and curve out a bit. I think we'll do this first. Maybe we'll kind of if we can kind of scare them into not playing their Baba the Saga early and getting the sack value off of that, then I would be happy if the Spiked Pit Trap kind of puts the fear of God into them into not playing the Minthara. So Ghost Lantern is going to be good here, especially with the Chain Devil, so let's just go ahead and pass the turn. If we don't draw a land next turn, then we are in trouble, because then we have nothing on the board. We cannot do anything with a Spiked Pit Trap, so 2 mana, just not enough. Okay, so the Baleful Beholder can take care of that, but I can't draw any lands. I mean, speak of the devil, or the Beholder. Speak of the Beholder, there it is. So we can take care of that once we have the mana for it, but we are far off from that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to have to keep that in hand, and if I have to discard something, then so be it, but... yeah, without lands here, we're probably dead anyway, so we'll see what they do. Being mana screwed is going to probably kill us here if we don't draw a land next turn. If we don't draw a land next turn, then we're probably just dead here, and we just have to see what additional information we can get about their deck and just buy time, I guess, and let them do their stuff. So it looks like they're like a green-black sacrifice self-mill type deck here. So that's interesting. Oh man. Well, let's just play this out so we don't have to discard it, I guess. Yeah, I think that the match is kind of unwinnable for us now. But we'll play it out because it's best of 3 and we want to get more information about their deck and what they have. More mill for 1 creature that we can block with tokens if it doesn't have menace, so... oh god. I mean, I'll play it, but I won't like it. We'll equip this, I guess, just for shits and giggles. It's probably not going to make any difference, but, you know... the match probably is not salvageable at this point, so... I mean, I have 17 lands, so, I mean, it's not like I'm short on lands in this deck. I have like 9 black, 7 white, 1 green for mana source, so I'm playing a bunch of lands, at least for the 40 card deck is concerned, so just getting kind of mana screwed here and keep drawing all the big stuff, so they are going to mill, and they're going to maybe put a counter here on the Shambling Gas. There we go. Well, at least they're putting on a Shambling Gas that they kind of want to die here, so that is a creature that they want to go ahead and sacrifice later. So there we go. Finally. So we probably still lose here, but we still want to, you know, again, get value here as much as we can. Maybe we can get back into the game. Let's draw now and see if we hit a land for next turn. We don't. That's really bad. That is really bad. We need land immediately. So let's just attack with the monk. And maybe we can... I don't know how the triggers would line up for the next turn. This would put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, but this would give -1/-1, so it depends on the timing of the triggers here, if they trade off with the priest here and attack. Like, I'm betting that they attack here. Like, why would they not want to trade it off unless they want to get more of the Sigil Merkle value, right? So they have Menace and Death Touch with that, with their green-black mill deck, so mill graveyard value type deck. The Ghost Lanterns would have been excellent in their deck, not so much our deck apparently, so... and I'm just going to go and take the trade while I can and hope that the triggers work the way that I'm expecting them to. Oh, come on! Okay, so I guess we get our trigger first. Okay. Whew. Saved by the bell. I thought they were going to be able to kill that turn, so they did too, apparently, so... yeah, it's kind of... I wish that it was more clear, the order in which those triggers would work, because not... like, I was confused, and so was the opponent, so... Yeah, Wizards of the Coast, you might want to get on that and kind of have solid rules on how the ordering of the different triggers work when they sort of happen simultaneously here. So by their trigger going first and then ours coming after that and having like being on the top of the stack of the triggers, we got ours first and then they yeah, I feel bad for our opponent because they got their trigger in not knowing that ours would end up applying before theirs ended up happening, basically. That's kind of weird. So we can chain double here and then pump up the Monk of the Open Hand, which isn't bad. I mean, we have to get something out there, so let's just do this while we can. Pump up the Monk, and then next turn, if we're lucky, we can play 2 spells to pump up the Monk again. So they have the Spiked Pit Trap, but trading a Monk for the Spiked Pit Trap at this point is pretty solid considering the bigger creatures that I already have in hand. So yeah, I mean, we may still end up losing this game, but I feel bad for our opponent there with the way that the triggers were ordered and the way that they assumed that they'd be able to kill our Monk with their gas there, and then they didn't because the trigger on this came in afterwards somehow by some miracle of God or something like that. Miracle of the Magic the Gathering gods. If we get Flaming Fist Officer out here, then that's definitely the best option, because if they Spiked Pit Trap either of our creatures, then they get bigger. So let's do this. And then I'm not going to block the Gray Slad if they attack with it, so I'm going to attack in here and see if they trade and pump up my Flaming Fist Officer here. If they trade, then my Fist Officer gets bigger, and then maybe they can Spiked Pit Trap it next turn, and then they can play out something big. I could re-equip the Ghost Lantern, but I think I just want to keep it on the Monk for now, so that way if they use removal on either of my creatures, then the other one gets bigger. Such as the Spiked Pit Trap. Hook Horror, I mean, nothing too major. The Hook Horror could be sacrifice fodder, chump block fodder. Nothing major yet with the Bag of Holding. So I guess if they have a specialized creature, then Bag of Holding would also fuel more cards into it as well. Okay, they continue for the mill plan, but they only have 9 cards left in their library, so unless they find a way to kill us soon, then they're going to draw out of cards here before they can kill us, maybe. We draw one more land and we get Spiked Pit Trap able to kill one of their dudes. Like the Gray Slad obviously is a good target here, so one land would be great and might get us the win. That doesn't change very much. Minthara's not bad, but they have Menace and Death Touch, so maybe I just have to go with the Horn of Valhalla and have chump blockers and buy time, maybe? I don't know. I really needed that extra land so that way I could kill their Gray Slot and just wait them out here and have them keep drawing cards and deck outs. Because if I play the Minthara, then I have to lose both of my creatures on board, but with this, at the very least, my Monk of the Open Hand gets bigger. So let's just do this for the 2 tokens. And then we're not going to block with the monk, so we'll attack with that. I mean, we still want one more mana next turn for the Spiked Pit Trap. We can't, like, kill the Grey Slad, obviously, but if our creature tokens die, then the monk gets bigger, and then maybe we can just kill them next turn with the Baleful Beholder, if we can. Okay, so they kill the monk. Their own Spiked Pit Trap. So we're going to have to play very defensively here and buy time to just have them mill out, essentially. Can't afford to be taking 7 here, so... Yeah, sadly they had the removal out there, and I mean, they could have killed it at any point that they wanted. I didn't know if they were going to tap out for something bigger in their hand. The mana came 1 turn too late. 1 turn too late. Well, if we had drawn this a turn earlier, then we could have Spiked Pit Trap last turn and stopped them dead in their tracks, so... If they have, like, Armor of Shadows here or something like that, then we're just kind of dead, so we have to do this. Kill that now before they have more open mana and more cards in hand. So we get the treasure token. So we have mana for Baleful Beholder. Babala Saga is not going to be great here because they don't want to draw the cards. They're going to deck out if they do that. We just need to buy time here, so... More land is good. The treasure can play the Caddy Bree, and then we can maybe play the Minthara after that. This has lifelink and death touch to buy time as well, so we have 7 mana open. We don't want to have them sacrifice the Sigil of Merkle now because we want them to deck out as soon as possible. We could play Drider plus Caddy Bree then pass. Minthara would be okay too to increase intensity. We can just... Caddy Bree can get bigger though if we have the Ghost Lantern on it, so maybe we can just do that. And then we can do intensity first. And then we use the treasure token to cast Caddy Bree, and that will activate the intensity here. Yep, let's go ahead and pay that. So it's just a matter of trying to wait them out now. I think it's better to do this to pump the first strike creature that can block, hopefully. So they're going to try and kill us, but Caddy Bree blocks the Hook Horrors pretty masterfully, so that's not going to do much good. They have to kill us before they deck out, so they have maybe 2 turns to do it. Babala Saga could buy them more time and sacrifice the Sigil of Merkle instead. I would probably do that in their position to try and get out a bunch of creatures and then attack in to race us. So we'll see what they sack with Babala Saga, but like they don't want to draw 3 cards or they just lose the game. They can't win that way. They have to sack the Sigil, I think, to buy them a couple of turns here, I think. Okay, so they kill that, but that means that the intensity gets bigger because it's on a different turn, so... Yeah, you only have 3 cards left. I mean, I have won another match before in constructed play. I was playing with my cleric deck, and there was someone that was playing like sort of a like a blood token type deck with some red-black type stuff to just keep looting through their deck for the answers that they needed to pump through the damage. And I survived with like 1 or 2 health left, and then they decked out because they drew every one of their cards. So this isn't the first time that I would be winning off of the opponent just decking out because they didn't sacrifice the sigil soon enough, which is what I would have done. Because us killing them by damage probably not going to happen here, so I think that they really needed to sacrifice the Sigil Merkle last turn before their end phase milled a card, so I don't think that they have, like, if they had a bunch of vampire spawns in the graveyard that they could get back or something with a certain card, then maybe they can do something here. Let's go ahead and do a Shambling Ghast. I could have done the Baleful Beholder, but I don't really need that. I just need to buy time here. All I want to do is just buy time with my creatures, so yep, let's just stay back. We don't need to attack in, and we're just going to win because they're going to deck themselves. 1 card left, so they have this turn and then next turn to kill us. So they're going to need something pretty big on their top deck with the last few cards that they have. They probably know their deck well enough to know that whether or not they have something that could still win them the game here, so if this were Kamigawa and you were in white, then there's like that one Kirin sort of artifact creature that can attach and make it where you can't lose the game or something, so Menace isn't going to save them here, so we can still double block the Baba the Saga if we really want to. Yeah, we can block this. And then I think we can... if we're going to double block, I don't think we want to use the Shambling Ghast, I guess. No, I guess we could. We can just double block here. They can kill both, but the Shambling Ghast gets us a treasure, and then the Minthara gets more intensity and all the other different stuff, so let's just do this. There are no combat tricks I know of. They have, like, maybe choose your weapon could have doubled the power of the Circle of the Land Druid or something like that, but it wouldn't have been enough to kill us, so more intensity. We can now block the Beholder with Minthara. We can sack a treasure for the Minthara value and more intensity. Yep, and so I think we can just do maybe an Avorion or an Asterion here. Could also get back another Shambling Ghast with the Lantern just to get more stuff out there, just to prevent them from killing me with like Menace or something like that. Caddy Bree wouldn't be bad here to get back with the Ghost Lantern, and then sack a treasure to get more intensity with that. So let's do this, get the Caddy Bree back, and then we can play this and sack the treasure. Get more intensity here. We have a first striker that has lots of power now. Play the Ghost, or equip the Ghost Lantern onto, I guess, Caddy Bree to give them more power. Play out this, and then equip this onto the Minthara. No attacks here, we just want to buy time. They have to kill us this turn or they lose. So just need to be able to double block them in case they have a way to give Menace. Hey, good game. GG's. So we went 1-2 with this deck. That's not... I mean, it's not as good a deck as I was hoping it would be, but we did get kind of screwed in that first match in that final game where the timer just ran out on us. So, I mean, it's still my fault to pay attention to the timer, and I didn't. And so... But we didn't get to see the first match truly play itself out to completion and see who would have won, you know, find out who was, you know, the better deck, basically, or in the Wild Wild West to be finding out who the better man is, basically, and then a Deus Ex Machina prevents you from finishing the battle for some reason, and someone loses. It's like a movie, you know, losing, someone loses so someone else can win, and they don't get to finish out the fight. So I mean, we got one win. It's not much consolation, but it is some consolation, I guess, to get the win. So, all right, and let's see what we would have gotten here with these packs over here, and see what we can acquire from over here. Shouldn't be too long before I get the gold needed to get the extra gold, so I can go ahead and play some more drafting videos. So let's see what we get from the packs here for pack 1 pick 1s. Stick Together is more of a constructed card. I wouldn't take that first pick. It's a, I mean, it's a halfway decent build round, but like it's only 4 creature types. It doesn't help out with knights. It doesn't help out with monks. It doesn't help out with like rangers, druids, all the other different sort of D&D type classes. So like if it worked with other types of cards that are traditional sort of, you know, party types from D&D and tabletop games, then this card would be much better. And so would the party mechanic in general. But I think that the first pick would probably just be Sewer Plague. The Gate is like a free card in any red deck, red-black, red-white, red-black, red-white. Red-green can also be viable, I think. Red-blue isn't really a thing in this format unless you're going with like dragons and such, which is still pretty strong with a Seeking card. And then Devoted Paladin would be pretty decent. I don't know, maybe if you're going red-black, getting a Gate on the wheel would be pretty good after first picking Sewer Plague. Yeah, Devoted Paladin is good in red-white. Maybe not so good in the other archetypes, but red-white makes it very good with the Kobold Warcallers. Eldritch Pact, huh. Well, if you're going up against an opposing mill deck, then this card can potentially win you the game, but it's more of a sideboard card, I think. Because if you're like a self-mill deck and you try and draw cards, then you don't want to kill yourself with the spell, so this is more of a kill the opponent spell in the late game when the graveyards have piled up a bit. So probably more of a sideboard card. Maybe you can play it in green-black and maybe get some use out of it to draw cards early. Or maybe on like, if you have like ways to ramp into this with treasure tokens, they can draw a bit earlier so you don't kill yourself. Swashbuckler Extraordinaire is decent but not great. It's a good in red-black treasures, and it can still ramp you into some bigger stuff, and it's a dragon, which is relevant for the dragon decks, so you can have an earlier curve with this. Dragonborn Immolator is probably the best card here. It's in a vacuum not the best 4-drop, because you have to pump it to make it be like a competitive aggro card, but Gift of Tiamat is a very good ability to pump up your next creature you get out. And then Young Blue Dragon is just an all-around pretty solid, even after the nerf to make it a 3/3 flyer, it's still a pretty solid card here. It used to be a 3/4 creature they can get out, and now it's only 3/3, so... But it's still a pretty good card for the dragon deck. The card draw on the adventure side is still nice, so... And then maybe you find some prisoners as a decent sideboard card in best of 3, so... I'd probably take the Dragonborn Immolator because red is usually the better color to pick and there's more decks that you can work with that, so... Blue, on the other hand, with the young Blue Dragon, is more of a purely a dragon deck pick because you don't usually play much... there aren't many archetypes you can play in blue. It's usually just dragons is the main thing you do there. And maybe the blue-white blink deck, but that's harder to get going, I think. So... I thank everyone for watching. I'm glad you could all enjoy another draft video, even though it didn't go quite as well. And maybe with the fact that I had to wait like 20 minutes for my match to finally get the draft underway, I had to wait like over 20 minutes for all the players to come in. And I started my video at like, I don't know, well after 5 o'clock. So everyone should have been getting back from their 9-to-5 jobs to get in and play some Magic if they wanted. So... It wasn't like I was doing this like in the middle of the night or anything like that, so... Anyway, I hope that everyone enjoyed it, and you know, it didn't go so well this time around, but maybe next time I'll just go for the traditional premier draft and do the best of ones, and maybe just get a better deck in general next time. And the more you know about the archetypes. So hope everyone had fun. Hope everyone has a very wonderful day wherever you're at in the world, and as always, take care.